Hi, and I'm Chisholm. I'm going to talk about the benefits of Reformation. So the question is, how did the Reformation in the 15th century affect our political and educational system in the world today? My hypothesis is the Reformation brought about a more positive impact on political and educational system, which is still practiced today. And this is going to answer how that was possible. So in the early years, the Roman Church was the leader of Europe. That means that anything that they wanted to do had to be run by the church before it was done. And within that time, it was believed that they had to pay for pardons. If you sinned, you can't go to heaven unless you buy a thing they call pardon in order to get your sins forgiven or something within that kind of region. And there was this prince named Prince Henry VIII that was there at that time. So there's this guy named Martin Luther, and he is the one that went to different places and studied the Bible and realized that the priests of the Roman Church were wrong and were corrupt and taking advantage of these people who did not know anything. Like what they were told to do, that's what they were like. They didn't argue, they didn't fight for anything. They just did what they were told. So he came back and posted a thing called 95 Theses on the church wall. This 95 Theses contained things that how pardons is not established by the Bible, and how God is the only person that can forgive sins, and things within that region. So people started believing Martin Luther and started understanding, like trying to understand what he was trying to bring about. But the Roman Church were not happy with this kind of thing. And then by doing this, Martin Luther decided to translate the Bible, which was in Latin, into Greek. And Prince Henry VIII took this Reformation to his advantage. And he decided that since the Roman Church, he decided to use for him to be the head of Europe instead of the Roman Church. And by doing this, he was able to bring about something we call democracy today, which allowed, even though the people didn't have the right to choose the leaders, it removed the head of the church from being the leader of Europe. Therefore, as the world started changing, people brought about democracy, which allows people to select the leader they want to lead them, instead of the church just being the general leader. And that's how the political aspect affected in the Reformation affected or is still affecting our world, therefore allowing other people instead of the church just to be the leader of a country. Because if the Reformation did not come about, the church would still be the leader of Europe and would have also had domination over other countries, if not for Martin Luther, that brought about the 95 Theses, and Prince Henry, who used it to his advantage when he wanted to get a divorce. So the picture on the left is the Roman Church, and the person that's sitting on the chair, is the priest, and is the priest that gives out pardons after people pay for them. And the person on the right hand side is Prince Henry VIII. He's the one that uses the Reformation to his advantage by telling removing the church to be the head of Europe, and him becoming the head of Europe. Now, how the Reformation affected our educational system. Okay, back then people weren't really educated. They didn't know how to read, write, or make what they were told was that you have to do this and do this and do this in order to get to a certain place or somewhere. They really didn't have a mind of their own. So Martin Luther, after putting the 95 Theses on the wall, Martin Luther decided to translate the Bible from Latin to Greek, therefore giving people a reason to learn how to read. So because before it was only the priest that was able to read the Bible because it was in Latin, and Latin was a language they did not understand, or they did not know how to read. They understood it, but when it was only said by the priest, well, that's how they understood it, but they didn't know how to read it, and the only thing they knew how to read was Greek. So Martin Luther decided to print a Greek Bible, So as he did that, it brought about like people being more devoted and having their own aspect of like, okay, if I read this, I can challenge this, or I can make my own religion, like other people started to do after Martin Luther. That's why we have the Calvinists, the Anabaptists. That's how education started about, because people wanted to learn. People wanted to be more involved in what's happening and not to be left bystander, like by the roadside. So that's how education came about, because people wanted to read and create their own religion and not to be controlled by the priest or the church or by what they were told to do, and not having a right to argue. So here is on my left hand is the Roman Catholic Bible, which was written in Latin, and this was the Greek Bible in which Martin Luther translated like from Latin to Greek, and this is how the book was brought about. And for him to do that, he needed the printing press, and the printing press also empowered education in a way that people learned as they were carving the letters or whatever into the stone. They learned, like they were taught, like this is what this means, this is how it's like, this is what this sentence means. And it brought about like, it helped the economy too, because it brought about more jobs, and like, okay, we have to print Bibles, and one man can't do this on its own. So it brought out education, and it helped the economy grow in that kind of way. So, in conclusion, the Reformation was more of a beneficial aspect on the world today than it was bad, because it helped the world today know about democracy if through Prince Henry the Eighth, and it also brought about education through Martin Luther, who translated the Bible from Latin to Greek. Thank you.